So I wanted to walk through how to figure out what the 5-number summary for a data set would be. So I'm using actually the example that is in the textbook, which is example 2.4, and it's on page 52. So you'll have to excuse the background noise. My dog is very loud. So anyway, so this is a North Carolina sample. They talked about travel times, and they have listed here 15 different travel times right here. So 15 is an odd number. So when we're looking for the median, which is essentially all the quartiles are just a set of medians at different strategic locations within the data set. When we look at the median of an odd number of samples or observations, you can see that it's going to be 7 on each side, which would get us to 14. And then the one in the center, this 20 right here, that's the median. So when we're looking for the 5-number summary, what I like to do is make a little chart. So I'll have the min, the Q1, the median, Q3, and then the max. And I like to do this just because it's nice to just have everything kind of organized, and it's just easier to work through the problem if you have sort of a system for how you approach the solution. So we know what the minimum is. The minimum is going to be this guy right here, number 5. And the maximum is 60. And then the median is 20. So now we need to figure out Q1 and Q3. So Q1 is, I'm just going to change the color of my pen here. Q1 is going to be the median of this data set. So we almost treat it as a totally separate data set. So in this case, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 observations, which means that this guy in the middle here, 10, would be our Q1, because that is the median of this subset of the data set. So we'll put a 10 right there. And then we look at the other side, this side, and again, it's 7 on this side, which means that this 30 is the middle, the median of that subset of the data set. So this is going to be 30. So now we know the 5-number summary. The next step is to talk about how would we actually figure out where outliers might be, or what we would consider to be an outlier. So the way we do this is we apply the Iqr rule. So the Iqr, if you recall, is the difference between Q3 and Q1. So in our example here, just to keep going, that's the difference between this value here and this value here. So the Iqr is equal to Q3 minus Q1. And we know that is 30 minus 10, or 20. So our Iqr is 20. So the next step is to figure out sort of the low and the high values. And to do that, we just follow a simple formula, or actually 2 simple formulas. One is Q1 minus 1.5 or 1.5 times the Iqr that we just figured out. So that's going to give us our low end, and then our high end is going to be Q3 plus 1.5 times the Iqr. So we have all of this data, and we just need to sort of plug it in. So for this first one, for the low end, Q1, if we look up here, is 10. And then the Iqr times is 20. And so if we do the math here, you can break out your calculator if you want, which is exactly what I'm going to do because I'm terrible at mental math. But we're going to say 1.5 times 20 which should be 30, and 10 minus 30 is negative 20. And then for the high end, it's going to be 30, which is Q3, plus 1.5 times 20, which this will turn out to be 60. So what this is telling me is that if I have values that are less than negative 20 or greater than 60, I can consider those to be outliers. So, for example, negative 30 is an outlier based on the calculations that we have figured out here. 62 is an outlier. So hopefully that clarifies a little bit about how to figure out the 5-number summary, as well as how to figure out what the range of possible values is without being considered an outlier.